If you told me the quickest new Volvo you could buy didn't look like a Swedish mafia getaway car, but rather a sneaker designed by IKEA, well, I wouldn't believe you either. But here it is. This is the 2025 Volvo EX30 twin-motor performance all-wheel drive Ultra. It's Volvo's smallest EV. It's their quickest EV. And it might just be one of the most confusing new cars you can buy, despite also possibly being one of the best in the segment. Especially when you consider that this fully loaded model that, on the surface, has pretty impeccable build quality and has an MSRP of basically $48,000, that's right in line with the average new car price these days and nearly 10 grand less than the average new price of an EV. Plus, Volvo has plans to offer an even more affordable single motor version with an MSRP of under 40. So today we're digging into the EX30 and we're gonna find out why this adorable moss-colored missile might just be one of the quirkiest and coolest EVs you can buy, if you can get past some of the controls, but more on that in a minute.
Volvo's in an interesting place right now. Since being acquired by Chinese giant Geely in 2010, they've been on a full-on reinvention tour. The design is still handled in Gothenburg. The safety ethos is still very much Swedish. But the EX30 is built on Geely's SEA platform, the same one you'll find under the Smart #1, which was itself co-developed with Mercedes. The EX30 isn't just Volvo's smallest SUV, it's their most affordable EV, and for markets like the US, it's a critical gateway car for the brand. Built to bring in first-time Volvo buyers, younger EV shoppers, and anyone who wants a little style with their Scandinavian restraint. And, oh yeah, it's now assembled in Belgium instead of China, if that sort of thing matters to you. Let's talk styling.
The EX30 is kind of like if a stormtrooper helmet and a pair of Nike Airs had a baby. Clean lines, expressive lighting signatures, short overhangs, and just enough Swedish weirdness to stand out from the crowd. Ours is finished in moss yellow, a color so bold that my sources say Volvo already discontinued it, even though it's still available on the configurator, so I don't really know. Compared to rivals like the Kia Niro EV or Hyundai Kona Electric, the EX30 is genuinely smaller, shorter, narrower, and less SUV-ish. But it wears that compact size with big confidence. Wheels up to 20 inches, two-tone paint, cool pixelated Thor's hammer headlights. The thing has presence, and frankly, I think it looks fantastic. Now on the inside is where things start to get a little funky. The EX30's cabin is filled with recycled and recyclable materials. Think plastic bottles, old jeans, natural fibers, and yet somehow it all feels solid. There's a real sense of quality, even if some of the textures might remind you of a upscale cafeteria tray. Fit and finish is downright excellent. The doors close nicely with a confidence-inspiring clunk, and I've yet to experience a single squeak or rattle. But where things start to unravel, for me anyway, is the interface. There's one screen. Just one. It's your speedometer, climate control, mirror adjustment, drive mode selector, and Spotify hub all in one. There is no gauge cluster, no heads-up display, there's not even a volume knob, just this screen. Now, that's not a new thing. If you've ever been in a Tesla, that'll seem perfectly normal. It's a cost-cutting measure and part of how they're able to drive the price of cars like these further down. I don't love not having basically any physical controls, but you do get used to it. No, the main problem I have with it is in regards to Volvo's overly enthusiastic driver awareness system that'll lower your music volume and yell at you every time you look down at that screen, which you have to do all the time because there are no other controls. Volvo is a brand that sort of hangs their hat on safety, and if I'm honest, having to look down at that screen and focus on tapping the right button on a relatively crowded interface doesn't seem like the safer option to me. Now, this car is basically running the full suite of Google software right out of the box. So of course, you can use things like Hey Google to change climate and media settings, and for the most part, it does work pretty well. And naturally, you also get a few controls on the squircle-shaped steering wheel for things like cruise control and media. But even those are just one big button which registers where your finger is when you press it, so you still have to sort of look down to see what you're actually doing. The window switches are shared between front and rear with a haptic button changing which window you're controlling. And Android Auto doesn't work, not out of the box anyway. Apple CarPlay is here, but Android users have to go full Google account login, which is no big deal if you own this car, but if you borrow it from a friend or rent one on Turo, can be a little frustrating. At least you get a pretty good Harman Kardon soundbar stretching across the dash. And yes, it's a literal soundbar, like the one for your TV. It sounds decent, but even that is a packaging choice meant to reduce wiring and save money. The same can be said for the glove box situation, which again, controlled via the touchscreen and has been placed in the center of the car, making it easier and more cost-effective for Volvo to build both left and right-hand drive models. As for the seats, they're surprisingly comfortable, and even though the ultra-minimalist design carries over to the way you control them, that works well too. You get all the regular adjustments you'd expect by sort of moving around the square, and then you can click the button in the middle to toggle between moving the seat and adjusting lumbar support. The key situation is kind of an odd choice too. You get this ultra wideband NFC card as well as this fob that has not a single button on it. The idea is it's proximity based, so you just walk up to the car, it's supposed to wake up and unlock and let you in, and when you're done driving, you just take the key and get out. The car is supposed to handle all of it. The problem is, it hasn't always worked 100% of the time for me. There have been a few mornings where I've walked out to the car and had to hold this against the door. There's only one spot on the car you can do this, by the way, to get it to wake up and unlock. And because of that, it also means there's no on-off button or start-stop switch. You just get in the car, plop it in gear, and it's on. That's kind of convenient, but I think some people might find it a little unnerving when it comes time to park the thing. The idea is you throw it in park and walk away. The car doesn't always turn off as quickly as you might expect. There is another way to go in through this menu and settings, find the thing, turn off the car manually, and I'm sure it will improve with future software updates, but that's going to take something for a lot of people to get used to, I think. Also, kind of quirky, you do get a dedicated button up here for defrost for some reason. It must be a law, maybe? I'm not really sure. And speaking of what's going on up here, and you also get a panoramic sunroof, which doesn't have a shade, doesn't open, close, or tilt, and isn't electrochromic, so you can't dim it with a button like you can in some other cars. That being said, it is pretty tinted right from the factory, and I haven't had any complaints with it even on a sunny day like today. In conclusion, interacting with some even basic functions is frustrating, especially at first, but I genuinely think a lot of buyers are going to learn to love. Let's see how this thing drives.
Here's the deal. This thing rips. 422 horsepower and the size of something of a Crosstrek is just fantastic. It launches hard, it grips well, and it stays planted even when you're acting like a complete idiot. It's hilariously quick, especially for a Volvo. And when the all-wheel drive system is set to performance mode, it gives you that sort of gut punch throttle response and acceleration that performance EVs are known for. As for the ride, it's surprisingly excellent. It's genuinely refined with a level of chassis polish you don't expect in a $45,000 subcompact SUV. Road noise is well damped, and it eats up bumps like a much larger and more expensive vehicle. As I was saying, the brakes are strong, regen is assertive, and one pedal mode mostly works, though it's a bit more aggressive than it is smooth, and I left it off for most of the week I've had the car. The steering, though, is way too light for something with this level of performance. Even in the firm setting, which feels like it should just be the default soft mode, it's pretty disconnected. It's sort of like steering with the joystick of an Xbox controller. It's easy to drive, but not really engaging. When pushed hard through corners, you have to really pay attention to what the chassis is doing because the steering wheel is just, it's not telling me anything. Still though, comfort is excellent. Both driving position and seat comfort are top-notch Volvo quality. Outward visibility is decent, and from where I'm sitting, it feels like a vehicle from a much higher class than it actually is. As for practicality and usability, well, this is where the EX30 starts to show its limitations. Rear seats are a bit tight, and getting in and out back there isn't entirely graceful. There's no center armrest in the back, and cargo space is merely average at 318 liters. The frunk is basically useless and too small for even the included mobile charger. Now, there is a cool will it fit graphic in the trunk showing icons of strollers, golf bags, and I think a robot. But in reality, the EX30 is best suited for singles, couples, or small families who pack light. It's technically an SUV, but it's best to think of it like a slightly larger hatchback. Let's pit this thing against its direct rivals real quick. There's the Hyundai Kona Electric, which is more practical, but it's slower and less stylish. There's the Kia Niro EV, which is a good all-arounder, but a lot less exciting. Of course, there's the Tesla Model Y, which has slightly more range and more space, but a worse ride and a worse still interior. The Chevy Equinox EV is very clearly more, price-focused, and then there's the Smart No. 1, which shares this car's platform and is reportedly very good, but it's not sold here in the US. Of all of them, the EX30 wins on character, driving enjoyment, and design, but it loses points for rear space and frustrating controls.
So, final thoughts. The EX30 is quick, stylish, and surprisingly refined. It's the kind of car that makes you smile even when it's frustrating you. Is it perfect? No. But if you want something different, if you want your EV to feel special without spending $70,000, this little yellow overachiever is hard to ignore. Just watch out for that driver monitor and maybe bring a cheat sheet for the infotainment system. Big thanks to Volvo for letting me play with your car for the week, and as always, an even bigger thanks to all of you for watching. Keep liking, keep subscribing. My name's Trav, that's the brand new Volvo EX30, and I'll see you all with a fresh review next week.